Warm welcome viewers, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhary. Once again, the controversy rife. The latest coming in is that Veer Savarkar's picture was put as the cover of a magazine which is from an institution backed by the Culture Ministry. In midst of all of this, there is an entire debate that is opened up. That is it right to compare Gandhi and Savarkar? I want to cut across to our guest this evening. Joining me is Tushar Gandhi. He is the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. He's joining us right now. Mr. Gandhi, appreciate you joining us. So my first question, now there is, especially with the magazine that came in with the cover of it, there seems to be an attempt, and it says in the article as well in the magazine, which is a dedication to Mahatma Gandhi as well, which says that Veer Savarkar was very much like Mahatma Gandhi.
Well, it is a reprehensible act, but this was expected. I am not surprised that this is happening in the organization. This was a very expected thing to happen. We all know the circumstances our country is in today.
So what do you mean the circumstances that the country is in today? If you would elucidate on that, because what's really happened, Mr. Gandhi, is that there is a huge section. As there are critics of Mr. Savarkar, there are also those who idealize him, and they say he never got his due. Therefore, what has happened right now is something that was long and should have come in much earlier.
In a way, I am surprised. In a way, I am offended. But to a large extent, I am amused that they are so desperate that even for Savarkar, to get approval for Savarkar, they require the stamp of a Gandhi institution or a Gandhi publication. That shows how much faith they have in their own icon.
Mr. Gandhi, you've always maintained that how can somebody who was accused for the murder of the Mahatma now been put on possibly the same pedestal as the Mahatma? But the BJP has said it over and over again that Veer Savarkar was always acquitted, is what the BJP says.
He wasn't acquitted. He was just allowed to get away from the trial because the proof presented in court was not adequate enough. There is a very big difference between acquittal and getting away with it. And Savarkar just managed to get away with it.
Why do you say, Mr. Gandhi, that there is an attempt? Because, yes, Mahatma Gandhi is the father of the nation, but there are those who also idolize the Savarkar approach to independence, or what the Savarkar ideology was. How does that make Mahatma Gandhi lesser, as many would suggest?
Well, if someone who apologizes to escape a prison sentence and accepts a lifelong pension from the colonial government can be placed on par with Bapu or with Bhagat Singh, then I pity the mentality that thinks so.
Mr. Tushar Gandhi, would you reckon that somewhere down the line, because you say very clearly, and it is a fact that they were polar opposite in terms of ideology, but, would the Mahatma today, in true Gandhian spirit, forgive Veer Savarkar or even his own assassin, Godse?
The Mahatma would have forgiven him, not only him, Bapu would have forgiven Nathuram Godse also, but the ideology has to be countered. The vicious ideology needs to be countered. There's no forgiving the ideology.
You talked earlier, Mr. Gandhi, about the mercy petitions. 6 of them, if I'm not wrong, that were written by Mr. Savarkar. But, the BJP says that these mercy petitions, 3 of them at least, were written at the behest of, Mahatma Gandhi.
It's a figment of their imagination because Bapu was nowhere on the scene when Savarkar began writing those applications. There's only one letter which I think Bapu wrote to the family saying that if he is writing it, then well, it's his right to write that. That doesn't mean that it was a suggestion. It was just that if you feel so, do it, kind of thing.
Mr. Gandhi, in days to come now, because there is a clear thrust from a certain set, when this is a democracy, well, if somebody agrees with that ideology, there might be a Gandhian ideology, there might be a Savarkar ideology. But those who believe in the Savarkar ideology, do you see now there is going to be a push towards that to further lionize, glorify the Savarkar ideology in days to come?
The conspiracy is the takeover of the Gandhi ideology and then altering it to suit their own purposes. That is the bigger plan and that is the greater danger. And that is why Gandhian institutions and memorials need to be protected from government interference and influence. We are seeing what is happening at GSDS because it is directly under the Prime Minister's office. And so these kind of things will happen, but other institutions which are still not directly under the government's influence and interference, and where the government is trying to take over, they need to be insulated against that and protected so that the ideology remains consecrated, it doesn't get polluted.
I appreciate you joining us. Thank you there. I want to cut across right now to Ranjit Savarkar. He's the grandson of Veer Savarkar. Joining us also is Uday Mahorkar, author, historian, who has just written a book, Veer Savarkar, The Man Who Could Have Prevented Partition, is what a book Mr. Savarkar, Mr. Uday Mahorkar has written. We'll also be joined shortly in just about a minute. Supriya Shrinate, spokesperson, Congress, and Guru Prakash Paswan, spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party. I want to, cut across with the permission of our political guests to Ranjit Savarkar and Uday Mahorkar first. Take a quick question from them each. Ranjit Savarkar ji, जब कहते हैं जब बिल्कुल ही ऑपोजिट पोलर आइडियोलॉजी ऑपोजिट थे उनकी, एक तरफ सावरकर एक तरफ महात्मा गांधी, और आज जो एक मैगजीन है डेडिकेटेड है महात्मा गांधी पे, उन्हीं पे सावरकर जी की अगर फोटो लगा देते हैं कि आप ग्रैंडसन है वीर सावरकर के, पर गलत नहीं मानते हैं इसे?
देखो, भारतीय स्वतंत्रता संग्राम में दो विचारधारा थी, एक क्रांतिकारी विचारधारा थी, उसके प्रमुख थे सावरकर, और दूसरी जो अहिंसात्मक विचारधारा थी उसके प्रमुख थे गांधी। और सावरकर जी ने भी यही बार बार कहा है कि स्वतंत्रता किसी एक पक्ष एक व्यक्ति से नहीं मिली है। यह संग्राम 1857 से शुरू हुआ है और तब से हजारों लाखों लोगों ने अपने बलिदान दिए हैं, और ये सबके खून का पसीने का जो परिपाक है वो हमारी स्वतंत्रता है। तो इसमें सावरकर जी का जो सहभाग है, भले आप उनके विचारों से सहमत ना हो, मगर आप उसे ठुकरा नहीं सकते, क्योंकि असली इतिहास आप जानना चाहते हो तो 42 के बाद तो कोई आंदोलन ही नहीं हुआ था, और 42 से बाद क्या हुआ है ये अगर जानना है तो 1942 टू 1947 ट्रांसफर ऑफ पावर्स टू इंडिया, ये ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट के जो ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट्स है वो आप देखो। और मैं ये दावा करता हूं कि इतिहास लोगों तक ना पहुंचे, इसलिए अब यूनिवर्सिटी में भी ये किताबें अवेलेबल नहीं है पूरी, और ये सावरकर स्मारक में हमारे पास पूरे 12 वॉल्यूम्स है इसके, और मेरा ये चैलेंज है कि वॉल्यूम 10 से लेके आगे देखो क्या क्या हुआ है और किसका कितना सहभाग है, ये पता चलेगा।
रंजीत सावरकर जी,
गांधी जी ने अपने इस व्यक्तिगत किसी की मालमत्ता नहीं है स्वतंत्रता संग्राम। ये
पर रंजीत सावरकर जी, आप कह रहे हैं कि दोनों की अलग अलग अप्रोच थी। मैं आपसे फिर से एक सवाल करूंगी। बार बार ये कहा गया है 6 बार जिसने मर्सी पेटिशन फाइल किया ब्रिटिश को कि मुझे छोड़ दीजिए, मुझे छोड़ दीजिए, मुझे छोड़ दीजिए, और 3 बार और 6 बार, वो आप एक पेडिस्टल पे महात्मा गांधी के साथ कैसे कंपेयर कर सकते हैं?
देखो, ये जो बात है बार बार ये झुठलाते गए हैं। उनके पिटीशन फॉर द जनरल एमनेस्टी ऑफ ऑल द पॉलिटिकल बिजनेस है, उस पर लिखा है, ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट के दस्तावेज पूरे उपलब्ध है, उसके बाद भी बार बार बोलता है। अच्छा, मुझे एक बात बताओ, उनके साथ जो सचिंद्रनाथ सान्याल थे वो आगे चल के भगत सिंह के भी साथीदार थे, और भगत सिंह ने भी सावरकर जी को ये तो पता था, ये तो सचिंद्रनाथ सान्याल को भी पता था ऐसे पिटीशन किए जाते थे, और ये सभी क्रांतिकारियों ने किए। मैं अभी दावे के साथ कहता हूं, तो पिटीशन करना ये अलग बात है, और सावरकर जी ने बार बार कहा है कि आप मुझे ना छोड़ो, दूसरों को छोड़ो। तो ये मुद्दा उछालते हुए तो फिर मैं तो कहता हूं कि 1919 में सावरकर ने, आप सावरकर की बात करें, गांधी ने जो पिटीशन किए वो ध्यान में रखो ना, उन्होंने तो ब्रिटिशों की माफी मांगी है, उन्होंने जालियनवाला बाग तक ये करार कर दिया है कि भारतीयों की ये गलती थी और अपने गलती का ये भुगत रहे गलती के लिए। ये गांधी ने जालियनवाला बाग के लिए कहा था, ये तो देश का अपमान है। तो ये ऐसी चिट्ठियां ये निकालना और बार बार कहना ये बहुत गलत बात है। उनका जो पॉजिटिव काम है वो आप देखो, और अगर किसी को इस पे बहस करनी है तो एक ओपन नेशनल डिबेट हो जाए इस बार में।
Ranjit Savarkar ji, बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे जुड़ने के लिए, बहुत शुक्रिया. So there you heard it, both the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi as well as Veer Savarkar. I'm going to cut across right now to Mr. Uday Mahurkar alongside Supriya Shrinate and Mr. Guru Paswan. Supriya Shrinate, you know, the biggest question right now that is being asked is, what is the problem with the opposition? Because there might be a Gandhian ideology. Nobody is denying that Gandhi is the father of the nation, but there is also a huge set, as there are critics of Mr. Savarkar as well, and those who do agree with the ideology of Mr. Savarkar feel that he hasn't quite got his due, and the example of which is him being on the cover of this particular magazine.
So first and foremost, the culture department goes and prints something in this magazine. There are 13 chapters, I think, on Mr. Savarkar. 13 लेख उन पर लिखे हैं, एक लेख महात्मा गांधी पर लिखा है. आपको इतना ही सावरकर जी को दिखाना था तो अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजर में, पंचजन्य में, जो आपकी नागपुरी किताब है उसमें दिखाते. Why do you need the legitimacy of the Mahatma? Because this is being printed, I'm told, in the Gandhi Smriti Darshan Sanstha publication. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is, I think the grandson who was here just said Mahatma Gandhi ने माफी मांगी है. महात्मा गांधी का एक शब्द लिखा हुआ दिखा दे या बोला हुआ दिखा दे जहां पर गांधी ने या नेहरू ने या सरदार पटेल ने या भगत सिंह ने माफी मांगी हो. लिखित में माफी मांगकर यह तक कहा गया है that I apologize, I will not be a part of the freedom struggle. I only want to ask people who are supporting Savarkar. I have nothing personal against the man, but I will ask. There was a Dandi March, there was a non-cooperation movement, there was a Quit India movement. What was the role he played? He lived in the Ratnagiri palace of the British between 1924 to 37 all his life. He lived per month ₹60 on a British pension. So what are we talking about here? To speak about the Mahatma and him in the same breath is actually undermining India's freedom struggle, undermining the father of the nation. और मैं एक बात आपके दर्शकों को और इनके माध्यम से जरूर कहना चाहती हूं. ये सिर्फ फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल की बात नहीं है प्रीति. महात्मा गांधी ने सिर्फ आजादी की लड़ाई नहीं लड़ी थी. महात्मा गांधी ensured that the Dalits got a say and a place at the high table. He ensured untouchability was removed in India. He ensured women were given their due. He ensured regional participation came in. Savarkar stood for the Varna Vyavastha. Savarkar was anti-Dalit. Savarkar was the first to actually endorse a two-nation theory even before Jinnah spoke about it in 1940. Savarkar spoke about a two-nation theory in 1937. He never called Bharat Mata. He always said Bharat Pita. He was anti-women. So I'm sorry to say, let us not undermine the Mahatma because you want to make Savarkar shine. Because undermining Mahatma not just undermines the man himself, but the ideology and the freedom struggle and the reforms that he stood for, which is the bedrock of our democracy. And
but Mr. Reignited, there are many versions of history. Like there are critics of Savarkar, there are critics of the Mahatma as well on many points. Especially, you know, as I'm reading it, there are many. It could be his take on Bhagat Singh. There are lots of troublesome, parts in our history which concern the Mahatma as well. But that aside,
you can take it on with me.
No, nobody. We are not debating.
Take it on with me. I'm willing to answer some
of
the
myths that
need to be busted.
Okay, Mr. Reignited, stay with me. I want to bring in Guru Paswan as well as Uday Mahurkar. Dr. Paswan, the question is, one can understand that there is a deep sense of appreciation of Mr. Savarkar by a certain set in India who feels he never quite got his due. But to put him on the cover of a magazine that is dedicated to the Mahatma, who, I think one thing we all will accept, had polar opposite ideology than Veer Savarkar, is a cruel joke on the father of the nation.
Preeti ji, I was patiently listening to the observations of the previous speaker and Tushar Gandhi ji as well. First of all, we must understand that we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is also an acknowledgement to all the unsung heroes of our freedom struggle. Point number one. Today, as we debate, is the 104th birth anniversary of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela's birth anniversary was celebrated at the same place called the Gandhi Smriti Darshan. Are we trying to dilute the legacy of Gandhi by celebrating Mandela? Obviously not. Second point, there is a letter in front of me. The letter categorically says, Veer Savarkar's daring defiance of the British government has its own important place in the annals of our freedom movement. I wish success to the plans to celebrate the birth centenary of this remarkable son of India. This is Indira Gandhi, the former Prime Minister of India. She has written this about Veer Savarkar. Point number 2. Third point, constantly they are saying that vicious ideology. People are saying that he was for caste structure. I challenge on your show tonight, give me one evidence, give me one footnote where Veer Savarkar was for caste system. All his life, he has struggled for temple entry of Dalits, the Ratnagiri temple entry movement. He said that the caste system must go lock, stock and barrel. What sort of lies are we propagating? One point agenda of the post-independence historian was to promote only one family, that only one family is responsible for the freedom of our country. That is an absolute falsehood which is being propagated by the academic establishment of our country for decades. Point number 2, there is also Baba Saheb Ambedkar and Gandhi Samiti, the Darshan Nyas. Baba Saheb Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi had a lot of differences. So the point is not that. In a democracy, dissent is the essence. There must always be a space for discussion and debate in a democracy. So this falsehood, this agenda, this propaganda must be exposed, and let's have a debate. Let's have an academic debate.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Uday Mahurkar as well. But Guru Paswan, if you heard Tushar Gandhi, I'm sure, if you heard Tushar Gandhi, I'm sure you also heard the grandson of Mr. Savarkar. But the question what I asked you is not about to celebrate those who you revere. It is about more to do with, the question was to put Savarkar as the cover page of a magazine which is dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi. Many would suggest is a joke on what the ideology of the Mahatma was. That's the question. But I'll come back to you. And you know, you were quoting, a lot of people, Indira Gandhi. One can also quote Mr. Patel on Savarkar. You know, there are lots of ways of looking at it. As you know, there's not one shade of history. There are multiple ones.
Preeti, if you allow me to answer the questions.
Sir, may I come back to you? May I bring in?
Sir,
with your permission, may I bring in Uday Mahurkar? I just bring him in, and I'll come back to you. Mr. Mahurkar, you've written a book.
10 seconds.
Sir, okay, take your 10 seconds, sir, quickly.
No, but then I don't.
No,
I'll come back to you, ma'am. I'll give you equal time.
This is the letter of Indira Gandhi. This is not any BJP person. No, this is not any BJP person saying this. And for your point, 28th June, it's the anniversary of Veer Savarkar. That is the reason the issue was dedicated to him. Multiple
Sir, it is a magazine dedicated to.
Has been given space
Sir, it is a magazine dedicated to Mr. Gandhi.
The point is not that. The point is not that.
To put somebody who had the polar opposite view is the debate.
The June issue was Savarkar.
Sir, the tenet of the magazine is Gandhi
Smriti.
And
who are you to decide, Preeti? Who
Sir,
am I to decide?
I'm not deciding anything.
Who are you to decide?
The tenet of the magazine is Gandhi Smriti.
Who am I to decide?
Sir, I'll come back.
Who is able to decide?
No,
let the academic community decide. Let the people of India decide.
Yes, sir. My humble submission is the tenet of the magazine is. Sir, 1 second. The tenet of the magazine is dedicated to Gandhi. The magazine is Gandhi Smriti. Therefore, the question to have somebody who's polar opposite to that. Nobody's saying don't celebrate Savarkar. Uday Mahurkar ji, I'll bring you in. You've written a book. Mr. Reignited, I promise I'll give you equal time. I'll come back to you. Uday Mahurkar ji, you know, you've written a book extensively on Veer Savarkar. The question that today is being asked is somebody who was accused of killing the Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, lack of proof, he was let off. Killing the Mahatma Gandhi is today on the cover of a magazine dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi.
No. You see, Gandhi has a different place. Gandhi, even in our book, we have criticized Gandhi, but then his contribution to the nation cannot be underplayed. His ideas like Gram Swaraj, his ideas like Swachh Bharat, all these ideas are rooted in Gandhi's. But two things for which Gandhi has to be re-evaluated is, one, his principle of complete non-violence, which did a lot of damage to the nation and made it in a way self-pacifist, and two, his Hindu-Muslim unity model, which I call Hindu-Muslim unity at Hindu cost. So these two things Gandhi has to be relooked and re-evaluated. Otherwise there is no problem with Gandhi, you know. So as such, there is no dichotomy. And one more thing, Gandhi murder. One thing which everybody is missing today is that Digambar Badge was the main witness, he was the approver in the Gandhi murder case. Digambar Badge, after, about 10-15 years after this Gandhi murder case, he told Manohar Malgaonkar, a great author, well-known author of this nation, of this country, he wrote a book, The Man Who Killed Gandhi. It was basically a book on Godse. That time Badge told Malgaonkar that I was forced to become an approver.
All right, okay. Mr. Nate, you wanted to come in for a rebuttal? Go ahead.
My simple rebuttal is that you cannot undermine the Mahatma for two reasons. He named Nelson Mandela. Whether it was Nelson Mandela or whether it was Martin Luther King Jr. or whether it's India 75 years after its independence, why does Gandhi continue to be the shining light? Why does Gandhi inspire people to fight against justice in far-flung lands like Africa and America? Because he fought against injustice peacefully. He fought against injustice non-violently. And no matter what anybody says, that's the only way to do it. I don't think violence can be endorsed by anybody, whether the previous speaker or anyone else. I also want to put some things on record. It's very fashionable to quote Indira Gandhi. But the reality is that all these mercy petitions and exactly what Mr. Savarkar did has come to light post that. I also want to place on record, and this is important to tell your viewers, Mr. Savarkar has in writing said, I will not be a part of the freedom struggle if I am released. Who does that? Which freedom fighter says that? And he obviously did not play a role. It is very well known that the RSS played no role whatsoever in India's independence. For 52 years after independence, they didn't even hoist the flag. The reason why Gandhi needs to be talked about in a much different way is because Gandhi was a social reformer besides being a freedom fighter. Gandhi led the Dalits in. Gandhi talked about Harijan. Gandhi talked against the caste system, something that Savarkar never spoke against. Give me one evidence of when Savarkar endorsed women. Give me one instance when Savarkar endorsed the Dalits. There's not one. His belief was staunchly in the caste system. And my last but not the least, I do want to put it on record here. You cannot play with history. To make somebody great, you cannot make the greatest diminish. I wish the BJP understands that. Because the truth, Preeti, is, जब यहाँ पर गांधी को गाली दी जाती है तो भाजपा और संघ चुप रहते हैं, प्रधानमंत्री चुप रहते हैं. लेकिन वही प्रधानमंत्री जब देश के बाहर जाते हैं तो गांधी के आगे ही नतमस्तक होकर लेजिटिमेसी लेनी पड़ती है. और मैं एक ही सवाल पूछना चाहती हूँ, इतने दलित आप अच्छे लोगों को कहते हैं, इतना काम सावरकर जी ने कर दिया, आज तक आरएसएस का कोई प्रमुख दलित क्यों नहीं बना है? क्या हाल दलितों का किया वो मेघवंशी जी ने अपनी किताब में कहा है आपकी? उनका छुआ खाना नहीं खाते थे आरएसएस में लोग. यहाँ पे बात करेंगे मुझसे कि आप लोग गांधी के बराबर हैं. सूरज को दिया मत दिखाइए. सूरज को सूरज ही
Dr. Guru Paswan wants to come in. Go ahead, Mr. Paswan. Go ahead with your rebuttal.
Thank you so much. Preeti, Savarkar once said that once the children are educated together, they will not observe caste hierarchy in later life. Point number one, the vicious ideology. It is because of Hindutva that first time in the history of our country एक आदिवासी समाज की महिला राष्ट्रपति भवन पहुंच रही है. 70 साल लग गए देश को एक आदिवासी समाज की महिला को राष्ट्रपति भवन पहुंचाने में. एक दलित समाज का व्यक्ति वहां राष्ट्रपति भवन पहुंचता है. और बंगारू लक्ष्मण जी भारतीय जनता पार्टी वो दलित समाज से आते थे. मैं नहीं बोल रहा था.
Please accord the same privilege to your co-panelists. I would respect the both of you
Preeti,
to accord the same privilege to your
Preeti,
co-panelists. Dr. Paswan, go ahead.
थैंक यू सो मच प्रीति. पहली बार देश में आदिवासी समाज की महिला बन रही है राष्ट्रपति, तब इनके पेट में दर्द हो रहा है. एक दलित समाज के व्यक्ति को रिप्लेस कर रही है आदिवासी समाज की महिला. आज दलित समाज के इतने एमपीज एमएलए बीजेपी में हैं. आज दलित समाज का आशीर्वाद भारतीय जनता पार्टी को प्राप्त होता है. वो सावरकर थे जिन्होंने दलित समाज के मंदिर प्रवेश के लिए आंदोलन किया था. वो सावरकर थे जो सोशल रिफॉर्म्स के लिए लड़ते थे. यहां सवाल ये नहीं कि गांधी के लेगेसी को डाइल्यूट करना है, लेकिन गांधी के साथ साथ जितने भी फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल के अनसंग हीरोज थे, बाबा साहेब अंबेडकर को सम्मान क्यों नहीं मिला? बाबा साहेब अंबेडकर के खिलाफ को जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने चुनाव में कैंपेन किया था. आज तक कांग्रेस ने कितने राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बनाए हैं? कांग्रेस का तो अभी तक राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष पिछले 3 सालों से आया नहीं है. ये दलितों की बात करते हैं. आज तक प्रेसिडेंशियल नॉमिनेशन 8 पहली बार लड़िया राजा. पहली बार I did not speak. Preeti,
Yes,
you
go
the
ahead.
controller.
Go ahead.
Preeti,
Go ahead.
you the controller.
Sir,
This
it's
is
not
the
about
way.
controlling
This is the
anyone.
संस्कार of
You
the
both,
court.
sir,
आपके
come
पास
on.
जब तर्क नहीं है, तथ्य नहीं तो आप
Sir,
debate
make
को
your
derail
point.
करते हैं.
Sir, make your point. Make your point.
Preeti, this is not done. For the third time she disturbed me. Ilayya Raja is the first Dalit to be sent to Rajya Sabha. Ilayya Raja is the first Dalit to be sent to Rajya Sabha in the presidential nomination in the art and culture category. आदिवासी समाज की महिला को राष्ट्रपति पहुंचाने में 70 साल लग गए, दलित समाज को राज्यसभा भेजने में 70 साल लग गए. आप बात करते हैं दलितों की. आपके यहाँ कितने दलित हैं आज राज्यसभा में? कितने दलितों को आपने अध्यक्ष बनाया है? कितने दलितों को आपने महासचिव बनाया है? आप सामाजिक न्याय की बात आपके मुंह से अच्छी नहीं लगती है. इनके पार्टी के अजय कुमार हैं, वो कहते हैं कि द्रौपदी मुर्मू शैतानी मानसिकता का प्रतिनिधित्व करती हैं. तेजस्वी यादव है, तेजस्वी यादव कहती है कि मूर्ति है,
Mr. Paswan, I will correct you, sir. Dr. Ajoy Kumar's clip was taken out of context.
Can I please come in?
Dr. Ajoy Kumar's clip was taken out of context. You know it better than that, sir.
He said it was his words.
Sir, in what context you and I both know? Okay, Mr. Nate,
You accorded me the same privilege.
Sir.
You either derail it.
Sir, how am I
Can I
derailing
please
what?
come in now?
Okay, Mr. Srinath, Mr. Srinath,
यहाँ
go
पर
ahead.
यहाँ पर आकर सबसे पहले तो व्हाट्सएप के झूठ और डॉक्टर्ड वीडियोस का यहाँ पर आकर एंडोर्समेंट मत करिए. ये एक नेशनल न्यूज चैनल है, झूठ शोभा नहीं देता है.
मैडम, नो पर्सनल अटैक, quickly wrap 10 seconds each.
लेकिन जो जिंदा आदिवासी औरत जलाई जा रही है, जो जिंदा आदिवासी औरत जलाई जा रही है मध्य प्रदेश में, उसके बारे में कुछ कहेंगे? कोविंद जी को आपने राष्ट्रपति बनाया, आदिवासी औरतों का रेप होता रहा उत्तर प्रदेश में और प्रधानमंत्री और मुख्यमंत्री दोनों चुप रहे, उसके बारे में कुछ कहेंगे? और कांग्रेस पर आप सवाल उठाएंगे?
All right, 10 seconds. Okay, now that's the, may I get, okay. Can I just get the BJP spokesperson for the next 10 seconds? May I just get the BJP? All right, I want to give you equal weightage.
क्या मूर्खतापूर्ण बात करते हैं?
Go ahead.
अहंकारी लोग हैं आप. Pointless बात करते हैं.
Sir, 10 seconds. Go ahead. I'll close the show.
पहली बार आदिवासी समाज की महिला राष्ट्रपति बनी है. पहली बार इलैया राजा प्रेसिडेंशियल नॉमिनेशन में राज्यसभा में आए. दलितों की बात ये ना करे तो ज्यादा बेहतर रहेगा.
With the permission of all my guests, I need to close the bulletin. Thank you all for joining us. Once again, coming back to what the topic was. Yes, there are those who look up to Savarkar's ideology. There are those who are critics as well. What we were debating today was it correct to have Veer Savarkar on the cover page of a magazine dedicated to the Mahatma? Because one thing, at least, and that doesn't need any historical lessons, was that they had polar opposite ideologies. We leave it for our viewers to decide. Thank you for watching.